The reason being is a very detailed investigation that is still going on. Let's say we are just going to present it for strategic reasons, and to do it brief, but we are continuing the investigations to gather more evidence and tie up all the information we have in order to bring a more comprehensive report. The reason being is it's just gone out of hand. It's just gone out of hand. And what is the program is about is the conspiracy of criminal activity involving sectors of the security services, the security sector, with the drug cartel, with the economic cartel, with the human trafficking gangs. And this is mainly involving the Gambian Navy. But it's not unique, it's not the Gambian Navy alone. The other state security sectors or stakeholders are involved. And furthermore, we'll explain the parameters of how these things operate. That in fact, politicians would be involved in this because they cannot openly do what they did without the political buy-in. That's why we will need to do an outline to explain how the cartel works. Now, the background of this is, if Gambians can be aware, in around 2010, that's when we wake up to a shock that about a ton of cocaine was discovered in the Gambia under the rule of Yahya Jammeh. It was presented as Yahya Jammeh or the security discovered this cocaine and they reported the matter. But absolutely it wasn't that. The state itself was involved, but the difference here was Yahya Jammeh was in control of the cartel. Jammeh was working with the cartel. And I am saying this based on evidence I know. Not only the evidence that are out there for people to see, but based on evidence that I know, I investigated, I came to the Gambia, and I saw how the cartel was operating with Yahya Jammeh. And there are people that Yahya Jammeh have accused of coup d'etat or other conspiracies that was not the reason he had problem with them. The likes of Jesus, the likes of I forgot some of their names. Because these people were used part of controlling the drug trafficking. And someone today who is very close to the president, Silaba Samate, was part of that operations as well. And that's where Silaba was arrested, and Silaba was going to be used part of the conspiracy to tie the other people down, but he left out. The reason the likes of Langton Montabma and others were arrested was because of this drug trafficking. And we all know then Amadou Samba was ahead of the financial network that controlling these things. It tells you that it's not only the drug traffickers that will be involved, there will be business people involved in money laundering as well. But in a nutshell, what was happening, that it was happening in the Gambia. There was drugs coming in the Gambia as transit and so on. The cartel was active in the Gambia, but it was controlled under Yahya Jammeh. But the evidence we have now, which is open for everybody to see, since Barrow came to power, the country have turned up to be a narco state. The state, the security sector, for that matter, this is what evidence we have, are complicit in working with the cartel. The entire state apparatus are complicit in working with the cartel. Part of the private sector is complicit in working with the cartel. And there's a political force working with the cartel. And this is part of where NPP are getting their money. This is part of where NPP are getting their money. Because if, as I said, comprehensively, we are going to list all the drug discovery from 2018 to date. And you see the amount of tons been discovered. And let me tell you something. You spoke to experts. They said that whatever is discovered is always the tip of the iceberg. The unknown, the undiscovered is far more than what's been discovered. Then tells you how much of drugs have gone through the Gambia, are going through the Gambia. And we can tell you now, not only that they are bringing in drugs in the Gambia, but they are manufacturing drugs in the Gambia now. Gambia now is used to manufacture drugs. They are bringing the raw materials and manufacture it in the Gambia to re-export it. This is how bad it is. Because they have confidence, they have control. But again, when we do the comprehensive report, we will cite all the cases that have been, the drug cartel have been arrested. Not a single one have led to a judicious decision be taken in the court, where a competent outcome have arises, where a major stakeholder is been sent to prison. Literally, there's no one in the prisons who is a major drug trafficker. The only people in the prisons are people trading cannabis. The cocaine and any other form of drugs, they don't go to prison. They are put on bail, trials are mishandled, or at the magistrate level. Some of these people are fined at the magistrate level, and they are let go. And it's a speedy trial they will have, and they will let go because Gambians will forget about it. When people are kept in the reminds for selling cannabis, they are kept in the reminds for months, years, before their cases are decided, but not for the cartel. Cartel are not either they have fled the country, or if they are arrested, they are put on bail. The case will never be heard properly, and down the line, they are going to be free. They are going to be fined as something that they are able to pay, and they move on. Now, let's just explain the cartel, an outline of the cartel operational network. The cartel works this way. Let's look at what happened in Gambia right now. There's an international cartel network, especially cocaine that comes from South America, the origin. But the trade is for wealthier countries. These things are manufactured in South America, but they are trying to get it to England, America, all the wealthier countries that they can sell them in tons. The other part is a transit trade and a transit route. The virtue of Gambia's geographical location, and because of most of the routes are now tightly monitored through the Caribbean and other forms of moving to other South American countries, to America and Europe. Now West Africa becomes a transit point. This is where that's why Gambia become a victim of this trade. Again, the other part is the host countries are mainly weak governance and failed states. You see, the part of the trade is they go to countries that have weak governance, governments that are corrupt, that can be controlled, or where there is a failed state. We all have seen the case when Bissau was a failed state, but still weak governance, they still thrive. Now we see when Gambia became a weak governance, they are thriving there, and eventually is going to be a failed state because that's what they do. Just as when it happened in Haiti and other countries, this is what happened. It ended up, in fact, bringing the president being killed in Haiti because of drug trafficking. It ended up in Bissau, the president's been overthrown because of drug trafficking. Now, the other part is the built infrastructure and network. There is always a built infrastructure they have to depend on. I'll explain that later in order to operate. Then there's the political buying, local interest groups. The cartel, they don't work as normal trade. There's no single person that can just go to South America and present themselves to the cartel to say that they're going to produce money to buy drugs. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. The cartel works from a very sophisticated international network, where even some countries' intelligence apparatus would be working in the cartel trade. We have seen it in America, the gangs of New York, we have seen how much how the role security sector played. But again, in fact, using crack cocaine to target minority communities, to make them addicted to those drugs, we have seen that operations. And using of heroin in certain aspects of the UK community in order to get minorities to be addicted to it, to destroy those communities. We have seen that happen. But we have seen it in where governments are using it as form of revenue. And I can tell you, there are many advanced governments that are involved in these trades and a form of revenue being run by their intelligence agencies, and they can use that money to do counter operations for their national interests. But when they come to a country, they will have to. That's why the network works in the way of trust. They have a protocol they have to follow. And in order for a ton of cocaine or any amount of a serious amount of cocaine to be transported to a country, the cartel must be assured of two things: that the cocaine will come to the country safely. That's their responsibility to the country. Once it's in the country, the cocaine will be safe. Two, that people involved, the cartel members involved, are not going to be prosecuted, whatever the case. And there's a possibility of moving the cocaine from the Gambia abroad. This is what they have to be guaranteed. That's why you can find that every apparatus, the justice system and everything have to be corrupted in order for the infrastructure to stay intact. The people who have the means to do that are people that have political influence. And if I say political influence, these are people who at the same time are business people. They are the ones making the deal. They might go through government advisors, president advisors. They might go through certain in the party militants and other people to see the president or see the party and everything, and they agree on giving them these things. And because of the government party is interested in this, the government party makes sure the institutional heads are complicit in this deal. And when we do the comprehensive report, that's where it's going to come out. Now, the other bit is the political buying. There's a trade of money laundering. This is why wherever you have a drug cartel, you have to have an economic cartel, because it goes both ways. It's about money laundering as well. That's why you find out in this investigation, comprehensively when we report, you'll find out that business people are involved. And these business people are the ones who do the political buying, and so that they can give the share to the political parties. And this is why, part of where NPP is getting their money. To the extent that the NPP 2024 draft is suggesting that for party donations, anybody can do it, be it foreign or not. They can do it anonymous or what. Everything else is just because of, so that they can continue doing what they do. It comes to the commercial network. There will be a commercial network, because not every part of the drug is going to go out. Some part of the drugs are going to be consumed in the country. And this is what happened. In many cases, this is where the drug is detected. Because once you start trading internally, there are deals that goes wrong and stuff like that. That's how the drug is detected. And there's buying of stakeholders' institutions. Every institution that matters, the cartel will make sure that they are bought in order for them to move freely. I can give you an example. Syllabus Samate going round to build a checkpoint for police officers. Syllabus Samate going round to donate to police officers. Other business people going out to donate police officers and the National Drug Law Enforcement Agencies and others and others. They go and befriend the senior officers of these institutions. But again, for Syllabus Samate and people like him, the reason I'm emphasizing Silava he confessed that of drug trafficking and how he got caught in the Gambia and what transpired. He confessed that. Well, but we know who he is. Silaba Samete now, who have a pass, he can move anywhere in the country. He goes and sit at the podium with the president and sing with the president. Silaba Samete given the privilege of putting, promotional, how to call it, promotionalism for soldiers. Now, you think that Silaba Samate would be stopped on any checkpoint? You think that Silaba Samate would be, controlled for any access at the airport or anywhere else? Not absolutely. And again, the same Silaba Samate, that 2016 was completely broke, but the minute he went with Barrow, today Silaba Samate is building apartments worth, tune of almost $1 million. Apartments, strategic locations. And there's no known business apart from willing and dealing, and one of it is cocaine and fake gold trade and scamming people, bringing them in the country. But it's not only Silaba. As we said, we are going to go into details on certain names. There's a particular name we're working on right now. We've narrowed it down, and we are going to look at the network. Both of them have left the country temporarily because they're trying to work things out there. And they are well known. And they are known to be associated behind, I don't say in the open, behind the scenes, people don't know they are very associated with the NPP. We'll get to those people. And one of them have traveled with Barrow to the ECOWAS summit recently. He was with Barrow at the ECOWAS summit recently. And I have reported before that there's a plane being operated from the Gambia under the responsibility of Ababakar Jawara. That plane is Brazilian registered plane. We reported that, we wrote about that, we put the registration number and everything, but nothing come out of it. That plane actually, Barrow have used that plane recently to travel to the coast somewhere. This is how narrow and controlled now the economic cartel and the drug cartel have on our country. Now, the buying of stakeholders, the buying of law enforcement officers, just as I explained. These are the people that buy out the law enforcement officers. But again, buying the judiciary. We all have seen where the judiciary have been compromised now, ruling on letting drug traffickers out. As I said, on the comprehensive report we are going to do, we are going to name all the cases that have, shown evidence of tampering. And we have seen, in fact, where judicial members have been implicated in drug trafficking itself. That's when it becomes a narco state. And the other part is the press. In the Gambia right now, you got to be, you find this thing. Now, this case have been going on for a while now. It have not progressed. We haven't seen anything on the media. Gambian mainstream media. Nothing, absolutely. Do you think that's an accident? Watson Gambia wrote about it and dropped it, and they dropped the article. They said that because of government officers intervened to say that they are doing their investigation. That's what they said. That's what they said. I'm not saying that they are under pressure or what, but they dropped the post, which I did not see necessary to be dropped. But still, since they did that last week, nothing have been reported about this case. Apart of Open Gambia, us coming out to report that we are going to make sure everything comes out. About a dozen soldiers are arrested. Someone said to me, this is just like a coup d'etat that went failed because of the amount of senior, military officers arrested and security arrested. And I can tell you, those are not the only ones to be arrested. They are trying to kill this case. That's why most others are not arrested, especially the most senior of them. If an independent investigation was done, I can tell you far more than a dozen senior officers would be arrested as well. Now, the other, not the press, the opinion leaders and activists. You see, the drug cartel will control opinion leaders and activists. They will control them. Because, some of this, as I said, some of these people, part of the cartel, are business people. They are the economic cartel. And what they do is they go and befriend the TikTokers, they go and befriend the press and other things. And if a story is to come out, they tell them not to cover it. Some activists in the Gambia are friends with some of these business people who going around masquerading as philanthropists, giving them handouts. And so that's why some of these activists, you will never hear them take on drug cases, because of they are being fed by part of the drug cartel, business people who masquerade as, who are part of the drug cartel, but masquerade as business and philanthropists. The elimination of any opposition. You see, this is where it gets to a level. If the narco trade gets to a level that there's really resistance, they'll start to eliminate people. We have seen it, where journalists are killed, where activists are killed, where opinion leaders are killed, where politicians are killed, where lawyers are killed. That's where it gets to, and Gambia is getting to the brink. It's getting to the brink. Now, a top of war will happen. Top of war is control, different drug gangs fighting for territory or fighting for whatever it is. It's likely to happen if this thing continues. The law enforcement, judiciary, and the press and leaders, activists are all going to be at risk. But again, the geostrategic location of Gambia will always be an attraction. Now, this is how the network works. The reason I am outlining this is for people to comprehend. When we come back to discuss other stuff, they will see where we're leading this to, how these things work. But there's another thing that we call the cartel infrastructure. And this is our built infrastructure, something that you see as normal. But because of the manner of the trade, they will need access to certain areas in the country in order for the trade to thrive. Now, give you an example. The seaport and the airport. Seaports and airports are one of the infrastructures. And the other reason pointed out this is to tell you that if any security, country security is interested, they can stop the trade. But if they are compromised, they can stop the trade, because we have the knowledge to know how they operate. If you have the knowledge to know how they operate, what's stopping you from, what preventing you from stopping them is because of they have bought you and you are compromised. And they buy you because they buy your political master, and your political master will, and so they create a conducive environment by all institutions be corrupted, and their actors, those people doing the transaction, those people who bought the political masters would be going around to buy the press and anybody else who's going to be an obstacle. And if that fails, then they will enforce that by using other means to silence people. Now, the ports and airports will be instrumental because they are inlets and they are outlets. They serve as inlets and outlets. As we said, that any drug, most of the drug that come in is not intended to be consumed in the Gambia. Though some of it will be, but the 99% of it is for export, re-export to wealthier countries. But they have to come through somewhere, through our ozone, through the ports, to beaches and everything else. Now, the other part of infrastructure is boating harbors. Boating harbors are the Denton Bridge, Lamin Lodge, Denton Bridge, Lamin Lodge, and some of the fishing, fishing docking areas, Kartong, Tujarang, and so on and so forth. And the beach ends. These are all areas that they will use, and that's why Gambia will be attractive for this. The river creeks, and the tributaries, the jetties along the river and stuff like that are all infrastructures they're going to use. But again, The financial institutions, they will have to transact money. They will have to move money. They have to launder money. And this is part of, and I can tell you, in some instances, when drug is in fact smuggled into the Gambia, money is smuggled in as well to buy properties. Money is struggled as bring in as well to buy properties. Because you know, when the drug goes out, if you sell it, you need to get the money. If you get the money, it's difficult to use in Western countries. It's now they're trying to use it in Dubai and Gambia and other places. That's why the financial regulations are very lax, or people can easily be corrupted. Money will be freight in as well to be used. Financial institutions, money transfer agencies, banks, business engagements, especially in fisheries. Fisheries is a main environment that they will be operating. If you remember the Bonto, a ton of cocaine in Bonto, the fisheries ministry was implicated. The fisheries license were issued and so on and so forth. They were using fisheries as a decoy to what they were doing so that they can have access to their goods and bring them in. And and the other the other content that will help. You see, the other content that will help is how to export. They have to need fish and other kind of content to re-export. Even the timber coming out of the Gambia is used to re-export drugs. I can tell you one thing. They'll get the drugs, and you see the container of timbers. Most of those timbers don't go directly to China or don't go direct to other destination. They'll have to go to Spain. And if you go to Spain, the cartel there are controlling areas that when they dock there, they can get the drugs out and bring it into Spain. There are many ways they bring it. That's why many businesses, you find that many of these businesses are more into drugs than anything. You are surprised to see people doing business and they're so wealthy with that business. And you think, oh, this business is so lucrative. My God, if you get into it and not knowing the details, that business is just used as a cover, you lose your investment. You lose your investment. That investment is just for cover. And the other thing is business that have heavy cash flow. Petrol stations where there's many money is being taken in and out. It's another lucrative assets, infrastructure they will use for it. Social enterprise. You see, most of these drug cartel enablers, they will call themselves philanthropists. They will engage in social enterprise. This is in order to win the confidence of opinion leaders. This is either to use it as a mechanism to be able to corrupt society as it is. That so that when their names are called, you say, Ben Swari nu julite, Ben Swari nga xamne du jog ci juma ji, Ben Swari nga xamne gamo bi moko de sponsor, Ben Swari nga xamne mo de sponsor ñi to win public empathy. Do you guys remember the drug baron Pablo Escobar? Pablo Escobar, not only Pablo Escobar, all drug cartels are like that. Philanthropy is part of it. Social engagements are part of it. Nightclubs, restaurants, real estate businesses are part of it. Do you realize this? When Banta Keita, and this case we're looking at, we haven't got the evidence yet, but it's pointing to that Banta have a hand in it. When Banta Keita was led to escape, how much property was recovered from Banta? And all these properties are real estate. These apartments you see, they come and distort our economy. The apartments you see for $150,000, $200,000, $300,000, $100,000. These are the properties they buy. Part of the money laundering. They invest in restaurants. They invest in bars. These are places they hang out. Things they try to use to launder money. Restaurants and others are good at laundering the money into the banks and other things. When Pablo Jabi was arrested. How many properties was found on Pablo Jabi? And the other thing you find on them is boats, speedboats. They all have speedboats because that's a speedboat they use in order to bring in the drugs. That's been said. This is just an outline so that people will understand the trade itself, how it works, so that when the detail comes out, it will be easier for people comprehension that, okay, this is what all it's about. What I'm going to talk about now, just in a brief, is part of the economic cartel. You know, a report has come out about the Russian fuel. And I can tell you the only reason that report came out, because there's infighting in government. When we reported, I mean Open Gambia, I came out and reported there was a fuel cartel running on the Russians with government. And I can tell you that State House was involved. First Lady Fatoumata Barrow was involved. He had a guy called Ibrahim Jabi as his agent to act on her behalf. But Fatoumata Barrow ensured that Barrow's friend, Yero Jallo, was appointed to run the Gam Petroleum plant. The brother to the IGP, Ture, his brother, I forget the name, was brought in. The guy did sanitation. He studied sanitation in Germany. Cleaning. That's what he studied in Germany. Anything he put in his CV is a lie. We don't know about his background, his CV. I'm not going to say other things might be stand personal. But if he comes out to try to defend himself, we are going to expose him. He's a liar. He haven't got any qualification to be a procurement or anywhere. That person was appointed as the operational director of Gam Petroleum without prior experience, knowledge, or anything. The brother of the IGP. And you know that the IGP is married to Barrow's sister. You see how they plan these things? When that case happened, and the control, to the extent of everything that happened, the report came out, and we look at the report, exactly what we said. It's what's in the report. And we are going to reproduce this report, and we are going to discuss it again. But what amazing is, even the Minister of Energy at that time, Ndobin, what we said about Ndobin, what we reported about Ndobin, the policy directive that Ndobin have changed in order to allow an environment for this trafficking to take place. We knew it was coming from above. There's nobody below Ndobin that could have made Ndobin to change the policy directive. And Ndobin, you wonder, at times you wonder, Ndobin be a Nongo Banjul or educated, taking kickbacks to his account. Go and look at the reports. Taking kickbacks to his account. And when we reported that people thought we are crazy to allege something like that. We didn't allege it, we reported it because we have seen the facts. Because Ndobin did that because of President Barrow. He changed the policy framework completely to allow this practice to continue. These people went to the extent of stopping in order to sell petrol as much as possible. And this was the worst type of petrol. As much as possible. Because the petrol force was intended for Ghana. Ghana will not accept it. They came and looked for a country like Gambia. And 2 Ghanaians, foreigners, enabled this transaction to go through who? The First Lady. The report is out now from Parliament. But what you will not find in the report is the role played by the State House. The role played by the State House is not in there. But do you know why, in fact, it went to Parliament? Because when Ndobin took over tourism, Ndobin went and scrapped some initiative or deals that Ahmad Bah have created for himself. Ahmad Bah got angry. Go and look at the MPs who were behind agitating for this investigation. They are from the NRP. Those MPs are from the NRP. Pa Usman Toure, yeah, the IGP brothers, Pa Usman Toure. Those MPs are from the NRP. They use those MPs just to make sure they get Nobin. Because of what Nobin did to Amadba, or Amadba perceived that Nobin did to him. Because what Nobin was doing was right. It was about the hotel and the misuse of funds and all the things that he reported. But tells you entirety of this government are corrupt. The investigation was not to bring about the proof, but it was about infighting. But to report it right, they did not do it. Now, this is just to give you an example of the level these people go. Now, the recent one is around, just a minute, I got so many papers here. Okay, around April, there was a tanker, a fuel tanker. I'm not sure whether it's Russian or not. The tanker is called Burak, B-R-U-A-A-K, Burak. The oil tanker is called Burak. This oil tanker was there for, this trade has been going on for a long time, under this Barrow dispensation. Okay, oil bunkering has been going on since there was a time. But at that time, you have to go to the high seas to buy petrol and bring it on, smuggle it in. Two things happen. When you smuggle that petrol from the high seas, one, the quality is not guaranteed. Two, you are not paying tax. Then you can sell the petrol and make profit. It was like an illegal deal being done. But at the time of Barrow, and you find this thing, same thing happening with the drugs. It's like now they have the audacity to do things plain because of the backing they have from this government. At the time of Barrow, what is happening is they have this tanker at a position called Buoy 5. Buoy 5 is adjacent to Fort Bullen. Right in the naked eye, you can see the tanker. It was not hidden or anything. The tanker has been there and been selling the petrol from there. Been transported from some young people in Barra, going with their boats, getting the petrol, selling it in the market. That's has been going on for a long, long time. I can tell you how long it's been. I cannot tell you how long it's been. What I can tell you is what transpired around April. What transpired about April 2025. Now, this tanker was in the open, both sides. In fact, the Gambia Ports Authority wanted to move the tanker for two reasons. It was not positioned properly. It was causing a kind of a destruction. The Buoy 5 is by the entrance of to the harbor. But not only that. You know, when there is low tide, the fiber optic cables do come up, like pop up. This tanker have even damaged a fiber optic cable because of the position it finds itself. And nothing came out of it. Now, tell us, if the captain of the boat have the audacity to park a tanker, a location that should supposed not be, the port authority, that means they have the legal mandate to operate the ports of the Gambia, can't do nothing about it. Because of what? The control they have in the government. Then, for that tanker to even cut off our fiber optic cable and still have the audacity not to move, this become a contented position. And the commander of the Navy could not do anything. Is it incompetence? Is it corruption? That is going to come out in our final investigations deeply. But he was aware, and he presented himself as he cannot do much. Because of what? People above him. And this is the CDS Cham. The Navy commander is Farah Job. Under the influence of CDS Cham, could not do anything. CDSM is only answerable to who? The Constitution or the President? And then who was there giving instructions to allow this store to make this captain to have the audacity to refuse our army, our Navy commander? What transpired later is the Navy commander cowardly instructed junior officers to go and try and negotiate with the captain. Negotiate, not to enforce. For the boat to be moved out to further waters. And which was, in fact, the boat was involved in a criminal activity. But no, they are negotiating to move the boat. You see the web, because these are business represented. And now, another thing, as we are trying to find the agent, we are trying to find the name of the agent representing the boat in the country. And I can tell you one thing for sure. When we find that agent, we will find out that he has links with NPP or Barrow. This is how they operate. It's always the business person supporting the criminal. Now, when these things happen, they are committing a crime. One, they are selling petrol without license to sell, because you have to have a license to distribute petrol in the Gambia as a retail. Two, they are selling petrol that was not tested. And I can tell you, all this petrol you see in the black market, they are not fit for purpose. What they do is they go and add all the sulfur. So they add sulfur in the petrol because if they are going to add all the dead oil from McDonald's and other outlets in the petrol. And that amount of sulfur, what does it do? This is why the engines of vehicles in the Gambia don't stay long. They corrode the pipes and all the things. That's why even petroleum pipes were corroded the other time. And that big leakage happened because of the amount of sulfur in our petrol. It's a dodgy petrol. But these people are selling to without tax, because they're selling this petrol in barrels without paying tax. Now, if the Navy is aware of this, why are they negotiating to move them away, not arrest them? And when these young officers went and confronted the captain and negotiated, the captain agreed to move to a point. The junior officers, because they didn't have a mandate to enforce, it was negotiation. They had to left the captain. The next day, when they contact the captain again, the captain said their agent, that's why I want to know the agent, overruled to say that let them not move. You see the audacity of those businesses? Because they have contact direct to the State House. When this happened, some of these officers, as reported, decided and went and enforced. In fact, without the commander, giving them the authority. Now, those people have been moved away from the Navy. But they are moved under, trying to label them as suspect. We don't know. We don't have the proof. But they were told that they are just being moved to help the investigation. But if you move someone away from an investigation, mean that you suspect them. That's why these officers were angry that they were not going to be moved, because they were going to be deployed to Trafficking, away from their core operational decision. They said that if it was a routine deployment, they would accept it. But this is an illegal deployment, they would not move. Guess what? They compromised and let them stay at the army headquarters. You see the breakdown of our security? And tomorrow, tonight, in fact, I did an interview with Alaji Salu. He's going to play Askan the radio, 21:30 UK time. That's 20:30 Gambian time. That's why I'm rushing to get out of here so that people can listen to that interview. Now, but when the CDS instructed the deputy CDS, Gomez have nothing to do with this. I'm just saying what happened. Instructed the deputy CDS to asked these people to be transferred. And when these people refused, they had to negotiate and transfer them to the army headquarters, not away from where they want to send them as a punishment. You see, it tells you the influence of these business people, the cartel, because of the contracts they have with these people. Interesting. Now, when these young officers went and enforce and forcefully move the boat out sea, this is where it became interesting. They put guards, about 5 guards with the boat to stay with the tanker. During the period of this tanker being put under escort or been guarded, 52 barrels of petrol went missing. They captured 52 barrels of petrol that are being transported away. This again, the soldiers who were guarding are suspected, I would say suspected of playing a part, because obviously it was their duty to protect the boat and make sure nothing leave the boat. But in a sense that they have left 52 barrels, they were suspects. Now, about 3 or 5 of them are arrested for investigation. Now, the 52 barrels, when they were intercepted, the commander of the Navy, Farah Job, took the exhibits, the 52 barrels, and entrusted with another group in Barra, another Navy group in Barra. Considering that Navy group doesn't have the infrastructure, they don't have the capacity to look after 52 barrels. Imagine that negligence of 52 barrels be kept somewhere that is not designated for petrol to be kept. Is it that incompetence or part of the criminality? Are they keeping the exhibit out of sight so that they can negotiate and deal with something? These are things we are going to investigate. Why did Farah Job decided to leave the barrel exhibits from stolen petrol with guards who have no capacity to look after them, who have no means, the infrastructure to look after them, considering the safety aspect of keeping for lubricants? Why the exhibits were not transferred to the Navy barracks or base or any competent authority, and the records be kept for the proceedings. For the proceedings. That could have been done. But you know, they do all these things. They are not doing it to investigate to others because they don't want this to come out. You see, that's where they're complicit with the press. This is where they're complicit with the press. Now, what happened to the 52 barrels? They're gone missing. The 52 barrels gone missing. The 52 barrels was stolen from the tanker, involved in illegal sales. Now that 52 barrels was recovered. That 52 barrels was entrusted to all the soldiers, Navy personnel. That 52 barrels gone missing. Again, there are extra 3 soldiers, 3 Navy guys, or 5. This is why we haven't written the comprehensive report yet, because we haven't got the complete or confirmed names of the people arrested. Let's say now, by the looks of it, about 6 or 10 Navy guys are arrested on petrol bunkering. Guys, now imagine an institution like the Navy to protect. Do you think that we should blame the young officers that are alleged to have stolen this thing? Or should we blame the institution for failing, incompetence, and corruption? These are the answers we need to find out. But again, still, the process have been quieting, and they are trying to arrange to kill that case too. On the human trafficking side, we haven't given it priority, but we are going to investigate it separately. We are concentrating on this economic crime, and we are going to go on the drug cartel. But this is just to give you brief of what is happening in our country. And this is the Navy involved. And the Navy not alone. There are business people involved. And these business people are connected to the State House and the government. That's why they have the audacity at this tip up. Now, if you let me a minute, we'll come to the drug cartel. As we did the outline, people that are just coming in, we did an outline to explain how the drug cartel network is and how it operates in the country. We explained about the infrastructure available to the drug cartel, for them, what enticed them to use Gambia, the location and other things. But again, we explained the conspiracy on how do they have this conducive environment to operate in the country. It's because of the political backing from the government, and the government, and hence the government are political masters. They bring in and corrupt the entire state apparatus that are to counter. You see, if I have time, that too we have done that. We have listed the amount of state security apparatus and their oversight bodies that could have made sure the state of lawlessness should not have happened. Why did all that collapse? The intelligence agencies. Do we know how many intelligence agencies we have in the Gambia? Do you know we have custom intelligence? Do you know how we have police intelligence? Do we know how we have military intelligence? Do we know how we have navy intelligence? Do we know how we have the SIS? Do we know how many oversight institutions we have? You know we have the committee in Parliament, Security and Intelligence Committee. Do we know that we have the National Security Agency Commission that is actually working as a secretariat for the National Security Council, where the president sits or the vice president sits to chair with the things? These are all oversights. How comes all these things is happening, the country becoming a narco state, lawlessness, and they are not aware? They are. Because they are the government is entirely complicit. And this is part of the evidence to say that the money going to the NPP, this is where part of it is coming from. Not everything I said, part of it, that's where it's coming from. Now, the operations, this is the drug. And we find out that this operation we're going to talk about this cartel operated from July 2020. July 2020. We are 2025. For 5 years, this cartel have been operating. We are going to look into that. Okay, what actually happened is an intelligence was picked up at Lamin Lodge. Intelligence picked up at Lamin Lodge. What was this intelligence at Lamin Lodge? You know what intelligence is about? You see things, certain things present, and you clap your head. Why is this thing here? 2 speedboats were spotted at Lamin Lodge. That's not 2 speedboats in Lamin Lodge. It's nothing. But if you understand what speedboat does, and find out that when Banta Keita was arrested, they arrested speedboats. When Pablo was arrested, speedboats. When other people were arrested, speedboats and stuff like that. They are part of the infrastructure in order to facilitate drug trafficking. But more so, there's something unique about these speedboats. These speedboats have 300 horsepower engines. Not 1 engine, not 2 engines, but 3 engines. And each of the engines have 300 horsepower. That's make each speedboat would have 900 horsepower. That is to evade any arrest. Because that amount of speed is difficult to catch up. This is why they use that. This is not for fishing. It's not for sports fishing. When those 2 boats were seen by intelligence, I'm not going to point out which intelligence saw it to cover our information. They inquire who owns these boats. The Navy present, the Navy personnel present, they said that the boats are owned by Spanish. But the boats were brought to the harbor at the Lamin Lodge by a gentleman who works at the Navy called WO2 Damfa. WO2 Damfa was the person who brought those boats at the Lamin Lodge. Obviously, it was suspicious, and the intelligence reported their report to the Navy Commander Farah Diop. No action was taken. Again, the Navy Commander Farah Diop, this intelligence was reported to Farah Diop. No action was taken. Just a minute, I've got... Now, when this intelligence approached WO2 Damfa, WO2 Damfa reported that yes, he was the one who brought the boats at the Lamin Lodge, but they were registered for fishing, sports fishing. This is what WO2 Damfa reported back to the intelligence. After a few days of approaching Damfa on these boats, Damfa was confronted again, and he was kind of economical, asking who are the owners of this boat. He have never revealed the owners of the boat, but he was kind of, in fact, trying to recruit the intelligence to be quiet and to be part of the network. The intelligence agencies refused. And a few days later, one of the boats, I have the name of the boat somewhere here. Just a minute, I think I have one of the name of the boats here. Okay, I'll look at it somewhere. The boat is boat 1 and 2. I'll get to the name. Then, the boat name is ALTIMZ. ALTIMZ. 1 and 2. One of the boats, Ultima 1, was intercepted by the Navy patrol in high seas. When the boat was intercepted, the time they boarded the boat, 2 people were in the boat, a Senegalese called, a Moroccan called Mohammed, and a Senegalese called, I think, Ibrahima. I'll get to find the name of Ibrahima, full name of Ibrahima. These 2 Moroccan and Senegalese were found in the boat. But the time the Navy boarded the boat, they have erased the data. The data is to show navigation data that would have pinpoint to where they've been. And then obviously then the Navy can send another boat to chase the motorboat. The motorboat is the boat that they took the drugs from, or the alleged drugs. When they were arrested, that boat was brought to the pier, back to station at Banjul. But when WO2 Damfa, when the boat was arrested, WO Damfa was already at the pier, negotiating to try to stop the boat be reported. He was trying to stop the people present to be reported. But the commander of the Navy, Farah Diop, was already informed about this arrest before they even brought them down. But for WO2 Damfa to have the audacity to negotiate when he knew that the Navy commander is aware of this arrest, tells you the audacity these people have or know what is possible to be done. But in this case, his request was not accepted. What they found in the boat, arrested boat, was 320 liters jerrycan of liquid. This is interesting. The liquid is suspected to be liquid that is used to make other forms of drugs. I forgot the name of the drug. To make the drugs. What this tells you that now they have a refinery, or they have a lab in the Gambia where now they are importing the liquid form in order to process. You see, this is why it's coming up to Nakote state. Now we are processing it. Because one of the boat have 320 jerrycans. Now, 320 jerrycans in one boat, then how much of drugs would have been manufactured? I think the drugs is called WMB or something like that. But other drugs too can be manufactured. Now, that's why Senegal, most of the party drugs in Senegal is imported from the Gambia. It's cheaper. Now, what they found in this boat as well, that the communication system is very advanced, highly advanced communication system on board. The GPS data was deleted. The equipments in the boat have indicated that these boats can go in sea and stay for days without needing to come back, because they found enough food and other things that they could have stayed in the sea for a long time without coming back. Shows you the infrastructure that have been built by the cartel in order to operate. The commanding officer was invited, and the drug law enforcement officers were invited at the Navy base. Farajo was invited, drug law enforcement were invited. But mysteriously, I have to name this person. When the boat was arrested, a gentleman called Sir Farimang Saho, came at the Navy base, or wherever he wanted to access, and asked for the chief, the commander of the Navy, Farajo. Sir Farimang introduced himself as the consulate, honorary consulate for Hungary, the Republic of Hungary in the Gambia. Farajo introduced himself as the business person. And he said that he was sent by one Mr. Jallo, one Ibrahim Jallo, to come and negotiate for the release of the boat. And he was there to meet the commander of the Navy, who that Ibrahim Jallo have already spoken to. That's why he's there. When they informed the Navy commander, he refused to see Sir Farimang Saho. Then Sir Farimang left the base, left the premises. I'm using the word base and premises at the same time, but because I'm not certain whether it's at the base or it's at the office. But he left the premises. Then the officers intervened and said to the reason, this is interesting to note, that the case was not reported in the media or anything, but this Sir Farimang Saho knew about it and said that he was sent by Ibrahim Jallo to come and negotiate for the boat to be released. What else does he know? But again, something to note, that he said that Ibrahim Jallo have already spoken to the army commander. True or not, these are interesting times to check. When Sir Farimang left, obviously he left his details. The officers convinced the commander, Farajo, that, sir, we need to interview this guy, because he is interested in this. He have interest in this. Then that's when the commander, imagine now the commander agreed for Farah to be invited. And they called Farah. Farah was still within Banjul. He turned around and came to the premises. He was asked, who was this Ibrahima? Interest in Farah, and keep this in mind. Sir Farimang Singate said, oh, he doesn't know Ibrahima. And he said, then how can you represent him? He said, no, because for him, Sir Farimang said that because during the gala demonstration, he made a post on social media. Probably from that's where Ibrahima saw his post, because he's always in contact with the youths, and he wanted to help him to release his boats. This is the statement allegedly said by Sir Farimang Saho. And the other thing is, she said he doesn't know. He doesn't know what is involved in the boat. And they said to him, hence that is the case, we cannot deal with you. And which I thought was wrong. They could have gone further, the investigation. He was left to, he left. But again, let's come back to the second boat. You know, we said there are two boats, 1 and 2. One was intercepted. Boat 2 was not seen. When boat 1 was brought to shore, to the harbor, the officers in charge of the side party asked permission from the commander of the Navy that, sir, we should go and look for the other boat. We had intelligence that this boat were harbored at Labin Lodge. They were given the permission to go, reluctantly, apparently, from our intelligence. They went to Lamin Lodge, they could not find the boat. They wanted to go to Denton Bridge. They were persuaded to go back. And the commander would not give a fuel coupon again for them to search, because the side party wanted to go around the coast, back to the sea, around the coast to look for this boat. Because from their intelligence, this boat, the first boat number 2 left 20 minutes before the first boat. Then it must have already arrived before they intercepted the other boat. And hence the communication was on, they were able to catch this. It's becoming more interesting. Now they were denied to go and cite this. Now this is another point. If an investigation was done independently, they have to explain why the commander refused to give the fuel vouchers and to give the command for these people to go on site. And if we tell you where the boat was found, it will be more interesting. Just tell you that we are in a state now. We will continue. Now, just a minute, I'm reading the script I've put down. Okay, when Sir Farimang Saho went to try to meet Commander Farah Job, he met 3 officers. These are the 3 officers I was told were present. One is Officer Mas Jalo, Officer Babuka Ndau. Yeah, these are, and the third, 2 officers, but about 3 officers were there that he met. Then, now a panel was set. Now a panel was set a day after the arrest of this boat. And this panel was chaired by the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, their Director of Intelligence, or one of the directors, called Lawyer Cisse. Lawyer Cisse, first name, Lawyer Cisse, just a minute, it was Mr. Cisse, lawyer Cisse anyway. We'll look for the first name. They chaired this panel, a joint investigating panel. The first person called to find out about the registration of these two boats was a gentleman from the Gambia Maritime Administration, who is responsible for registration of these boats or processing. And the name of this gentleman is Esa Jaite. Esa Jaite said, yes, he recognized the name of the boats that he registered in July 2020. And he produced the details of the registration that he have. That's his paperwork. But his paperwork that he have sent, Mr. Jaita said he draft his paperwork and send it to the main office so that the registration will be done. And the protocol is that when registration is done, should be sent back to Esa Jaite, and Esa would issue it to the people that registered this boat. Now we are trying to find out the people who registered with Esa. We try to find the people who registered with Esa. But Esa said something strange happened. When he sent the details, he have never received the registration of this boat. But in his record, he have the details of what he has sent to his head office. Then they made a registration and gave it straight to the people that are responsible for this boat. But Esa revealed discrepancy in the registration. Esa revealed the discrepancy in the registration certificate that was with the boat. One, Esa said that the names on the registration were not the names he have registered, forwarded. They were not the names. One discrepancy. Two, he said that when the boat were presented with one single engine of 300 horsepower. And the details he sent for registration was each boat is equipped with one engine of 300 horsepower. Then you see from the registration there's concealment. But who facilitated these people to register with that discrepancy should have been investigated. But guess what? It was never followed. The panel never followed that. The chairman of the panel, the lawyer, Mr. Cisse, never said that it was not important. And from the information we have so far, Mr. Cisse is conspiring to kill this case. As I said, that's why we have still not published other things, because we want to know the name in the first registration that this guy did, that Esa Jaite did, and we want to know the present name that was put on the registration. If they fail to do that, we are going to publish to say that they failed to produce this. But we are coming to make sure that the attention, hence the press are not reporting it, and the government did not come out to report this case, and it have been gone weeks. And this is a serious case where almost a dozen officers are arrested. Navy and other officers, GRA and other officers. And some business people are involved. We have to make sure we talk about it now, and we follow and publish whatever we finally put our hands on. This is what was surprising, that the certificate was registered as Gambian names, owners, but we don't know who they are. Then the director of drug squad enforcement, Mr. Cisse downplayed the importance of getting to the roots of who registered, how it was registered, and so on. But not only that. Part of the investigation, Farah, the director, the chair, Director Cisse of the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, decided that a bail should be given to these two suspects. Can you believe this? Oh, under the pretext, technicality, legal pretext, that these people have been held over 48 hours, which is unconstitutional, we agree. Under the pretext that it's not determined yet that what they carry was drugs. These two. And I'll come to that. If there's no complicity in order to discredit the case, for the Drug Law Enforcement Agency to have exhibits under their control for 48 hours and cannot determine what that exhibit is. 48 hours. Do you believe that? Where the exhibits have all the hallmarks of drugs. Even the white cocaine, if you see it, hold it, obviously you will say suspected cocaine. You have to prove it by doing the test. And the tests are simple to be done. Just as any liquid form of drugs are easily determined. You want to tell me the drug squad cannot determine that? It's a lie. They want to kill the case. That's one. In order to take an excuse that people have been held over 48 hours, they have to be put on bail. Go to the Mile 2 remand and see how many Gambians are put there for years without being produced before the courts. I am not saying that two wrongs would make a right. But if they can legally hold Gambians in Mile 2 prison for years, but drug cartel members would not be held over 48 hours. I can tell you that for the evidence they have before them, they could have produced this, charged them, produce them to the magistrate courts, and obviously the case is not going to be heard. It's going to be adjourned, and they will be remanded. Because of the jurisdiction of the case would be even to the higher courts. They deliberately didn't do that. But Director Cisse directed the panel, and the panel willingly accepted. They are all in it to give bail. And I can give you an additional information why the bail should not be given. Apparently, when these people were arrested, the Senegalese and Mohammed, the Moroccan, around Kotu, the Moroccan escaped. They had to chase him and catch him. Now, that person have already proven he's a flight risk. Have already proven he's a flight risk. Thank you. The drug squad has a science lab. Definitely. Have already proven he's a flight risk. Now, how can you propose someone who's a flight risk to be bailed? And guess how much is the amount of bail? You know, if you want to bail Ben Suare, you might bail Ben Suare for 1 million. Because Ben Suare is so poor that 1 million would mean a lot for Ben Suare to raise. But if you want to bail a cocaine, cartel members, $5 million, it's nothing. Nothing attached. Nothing attached. And guess who came and bailed them? Sir Farimang Saho. Farimang Saho, who first went to negotiate the release of the boats, who is a businessman, who is a honorary consular for Hungary, turned out now to bail them. And he said he knows nothing about the content of the boat. And he doesn't know these people, but now he's ready to bail them for 5 million each, or and if they don't turn up. Do you expect they're going to turn up? Do you guys expect when these people bail, they're going to turn up? You know that the chair, Mr. Cisse, the lawyer from the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, knew that these people will not turn up. And I can say it's highly suspicious that this bail was arranged by the cartel members and their guys. This guy is saying that one of the people I mentioned own boats. Yes. Yes, we are going to get into that. And there are so many people involved in this. That's why we are taking our time. We need to. Now, $5 million, $5 million for the Moroccan and this thing. And guess what? They never appeared. They were bailed on a Friday to come back on a Monday. When the panel requested these people to turn up, these people never turn up. The chairman, the chairman of Drug Law Enforcement Agency made a call to Sir Farimang Saho to inquire about this too, that the guys who bailed, they never turn up. Do you know the ridiculous answer that Sir Farimang Saho gave? He said that the Senegalese called him to say that he lost his other phone, where he had the address to where to report for bail and the directions. He doesn't have the direction to report to bail. Now, fancy this. That if the person who owes to report for bail can contact the person who guarantees his bail, what about that person giving him the direction to the place? But now the chairman wants Gambians to believe that that person did not turn up that day because he cannot find the direction. One. Two, the Moroccan. When the director, the Cisse, contacted Sir Farimang Saho to inquire why the Moroccan then did not come, he turned around to say that the Moroccan have diarrhea. The Moroccan cannot come. But those people have already left the jurisdiction of the Gambia by Monday. Now, you see what is happening here now. The exhibit's likely going to be tampered. The witnesses, two witnesses, main witnesses have absconded. But there are other arrests. Sorry, I just spilled the coffee here. I have to pour water in this before it sticks. Sorry about this, guys. Yeah. Now we talked about the first boat. Now guess the second boat. The second boat that the Army, the Navy commander refused the officers to go and chase. After a few weeks or days, the second boat, boat number 2, was found at Kartong Navy Point, where the Navy is in Kartong. That's where they found the boat, with all its engines, and obviously no exhibit on it. And who found the boat? The CDS was doing a tour and saw the boat and inquired about the boat. Oh, whose boat is this? They said that the boat was brought there by one of the officers called Mr. Seka. Mr. Seka, I've got Mr. Seka's name somewhere, not, it's on my phone where I'm using now. But this Mr. Seka was on sick leave for almost a year, apparently. Sick leave. But he is active, running around, piloting boats and working with the cartel. Now, a Navy officer brought the boat that the Navy was looking for and entrusted the boat at with the Navy at Khartoum. Now, can we see how complicit the Navy is in this trafficking? Can we see how complicit the Navy is in this trafficking? Now, part of the investigation, this is how they got that boat. Part of the investigation, they confessed, some of these people are Seka and others have confessed it. Some of the arrested Navy officers said during the course of their transaction, some of them were paid $3.2 million. Some of them were paid $2 million. Others were paid $1 million. But obviously, those on top will be having more $1 million. And some of them bought properties outright for $3.5 million. This is how lucrative and big the deal was. Remember, these boats were registered in July 2020. They operated for 5 years. And this Seka he admitted of getting paid $3.5 million. But this Seka was on sick leave. But he is running around piloting boats and running orders. But we have two other retired Navy officers, WO2s. We got their names. Again, it's going to come in the comprehensive report. They are part of the cartel, working with the cartel, who were with Seka, 3 of them. Seka is, I'm not saying that Seka is not sick, but he's actively running around piloting boats, but he cannot work. He's not reporting to work. Did someone give excuse to Seka to stay away? Someone on top to run this operation with these 2 who are retired officers? We got their names. I cannot just bring it out now. I forgot to put it down in writing here. These are the people that facilitated and controlled the Navy operations. But we have the name of other 6 active officers, Nyasi and others, who are arrested. Some of them are lieutenants, junior officers. Some of them have ranks of junior officers in the Navy. They are arrested, and they've been arrested for a long time now. But investigations are still not reported in the media. It's not reported by the DSM. There is one Ibrahima Job from the GRA, who is reported to be a brother of late Baba Job, who was arrested but is bailed and still not reported, and you know where this is going. Apparently, he too is part of it. But again, there's a name that popped up today who is linked to Farah, Fariman Saho. A name linked to Fariman Saho. Apparently, they went to search that person's property today or yesterday, but that person has traveled, is not in the country. This is how much it is. But again, as we said that this is done at plain sight, the Denton Bridge at Banjul. Now, the second boat was brought from Senegal. We have Senegalese nationals. We have Moroccans and others who are part of the Senegalese nationals are brought for their piloting skills to pilot these boats. These 2 boats are not the only boats. There are so many boats being used. Now, if you go to this Denton Bridge in the night, some of these people stay there overnight. Gambia, you want to tell me that the security, the amount of intelligence we have, I've named many intelligence agencies we have. I forgot to name the police financial intelligence unit as well, because they are part of intelligence. You want to tell me that they don't know the operation happening at the Denton Bridge? Who is stopping them from doing their job? At Denton Bridge. They operate during the night at Denton Bridge. Boats are going through the creeks, boats are going out sea, boats are coming back. Now, they control the Navy. If you listen to everything said here, which is of facts, you see how they control the Navy. And for how many Navy officers so far to be arrested, and these are the lower ranks from junior officers, officers to junior, NCOs, arrested. But senior officers, these people cannot do this without oversee of senior officers. And the way and manner the commander of the Navy have operated is either incompetence or he's complicit. I'm not accusing him, but the way he have overseen this is either incompetence or complicit. I am told that he's a highly intelligent person and everything else. But whether his character is up to purpose, we don't know. If you go to Lamin Lodge, you can see how they operate there with their boats. If you visit motels in the Gambia, if you go to certain nightclubs, they are operating in plain sight. Guinea-Bissau nationals, South Americans, French, and this connection have French nationality, French this thing. That's why Banta Keita is suspected. Why Banta Keita is suspected? Banta is resident in Senegal. He is traveling to West Africa. Some people say that he traveled to the Gambia. I don't have evidence to that. But I have evidence that senior officers knew about Banta's residence in Senegal with his family members. Banta's wife is in the Gambia. Some people are saying they divorced or not, but I can tell you he goes regularly to visit Banta. They go regularly to visit Banta in Senegal. And he's always in touch with Banta's lawyer, who is Sheriff Tambedu, and Sheriff is still acting on behalf of Banta's interests. This is so far we are going to cover, but we are continuing the investigations. We are going to write articles on this. We want to get all the names involved, and we are following. We are doing this to send information and people to be allowed to know that we are not going to be quiet for them to kill this case. They are in the process of killing this case. For them to give a bail to these two suspects and the way they handle everything else, that's what they're doing. And the failure to report. And I can tell you now, for doing this program, 2 days they will come and report and try to debunk or try to report something not accurate. But we are going to follow this through. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good evening. Thank you.